Good evening, everyone. Respected CA Singh Nandaji, CC member ICI and Chairman Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI. Respected CA Dayanivas Sharmaji, CC member ICI and Vice Chairman Digital Auditing and Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI. Respected CA Ankit Kumar Agarwal ji, Chairman Jar Sugda branch of EIRC of ICI, and our eminent speakers, Dr. Omkar Nathji and Avinash Gokhale ji. Today we have all gathered here for this virtual CPE meeting organized by Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI on the topic Internal System Security and Contemporary Digital Technology. Now I would like to invite CA Ankit Kumar Agarwal ji, Chairman Jarsugda branch of EIRC of ICI for his opening remarks. Sir, Ankit sir.
Respected guests, member and other dignitaries present here on this webinar. A very good evening to all of you. At the very outset of the event, I take this opportunity to welcome everyone. I salute the spirit of CA Charanjit Singh Nanda, Chairman Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI, and CA Dayanivas Sharma, Vice Chairman Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI, who have really taken lots of effort to make this webinar happen. I also like to special welcome to our eminent speaker of the today's session, Dr. Omkar Nath and Mr. Avinash Gokhale, who are providing their precious time to guide us. Not taking too much of time here, I once again welcome all our guest members and other dignitaries, and let's try to gain maximum guidance from our speaker today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your welcoming remarks. And with this, we have among us Sri Charanjit Singh Nanda sir, who is the Central Council member of ICAI and Chairman of Internal Audit Assurance Board ICAI. He was also a member of Quality Review Board set up by the Government of India. He was also the Chairman of Committee of Internal Audit, Committee of Members in Industry ICAI, and Committee of countless other committees of ICAI and other prestigious forums. Sir, I request you to please take over for the welcoming session. Nanda sir.
So very good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
CA Ankit Agarwal, the chairman of Jharsuguda branch of EIRC. I can see my very dear friend, Mr. Omkar Nath and Shri Avinash Gokhale, who have come here to make the crowd and participant more enlightened. CA Sampurn Sharma, the moderator of today's Times, Amit Kumar, the secretary, Ayaz, the technical support, and all Kunal from the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, and all participants have come here to go home more enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, you are well aware that your board, the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, is very keen to set up and put in new programs on a daily basis. We want to do it on a daily basis, but we are doing it every Saturday, and on Wednesday we'll try to do one program on forensic accounting standards. And today's program is specifically on information system security and would include not only information system security, but Mr. Avinash Gokhale will take care of contemporary digital technology and how it can be useful, not only for auditors, but for clients, and how you could make them add value to their initiatives. I want to very candidly put across one very important thing. The times have changed now. We are all into traditional practice, and we are feeling that the new opportunities in traditional practice is dwindling. So we have to go ahead and ensure that we have the best of the opportunities in digital world, in technology. We have to take cognizance of them and ensure that not only our clients or stakeholders, but the regulator and government also benefits from it. And this session of today's program, both the sessions have been very carefully crafted to ensure that both the pertinent topics related to information system security are dealt with and justice is done with them. So ladies and gentlemen, I will not take much of your time. We have both the speakers on the dais, Dr. Omkar Nath and Mr. Avinash Gokhale, both are here. So I would request Sampurn Saab to start it immediately. But before I ask Sampurn to take over the reins of this session, I would like to give you a good news. Your board is presently doing a training program for GST investigative wing, where we are telling them how they could use forensic to unearth certain GST frauds which may be beneficial for the country. You are aware that the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which was set up an Act of Parliament way back on 1st July 1949, is totally inclined to add value to the initiatives of the government and ensure that all of us have a socialistic objective, and that socialistic objective is fulfilled at the highest level. So, not taking much of your time, I now request Mr. Sampoon Sharma to take the things forward. Mr. Sharma, the dice is all yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the welcoming words, and I am sure this session is going to be a very enriching one. So before we start the session, I would like to request the participants that there is a box down below on the screen in which you can drop your questions, and the question answer session will be taken over at the end of the session. Now, to begin with, we have with us very eminent speaker, Dr. Onkar Nathji, who is who did his MSc in mathematics from Gorakhpur University. He got his first PhD from AMSE University and second PhD from TU India. Onkar sir has also completed a plethora of courses including PGD-CM, PGD-HRD, PGD-MM, PGD-FM, PGD-DM, and an MBA in HRD. He has got IPIAM from State University of New York, USA. He has been honored with fellow membership of Royal Astronomical Society, London, UK. Apart from that, Onkar sir is also associated with countless other prestigious organizations and forums. He has also authored 3 books and co-authored 2 books for IIBF. Having sharpened his IT skills at IIT Kanpur and having experience for approx 10 years in banking management, 16 years in IT technology, and 9 years in information security, Mr. Onkar is presently an information security strategist in the advisory and consultant role. So today, Onkar sir will be covering the information system security aspect of today's topic. I request Onkar sir to please take over the session from here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sampoon. Thank you. Just allow me a minute to share my presentation. Okay. My presentation is visible?
Yes, sir. The presentation is visible.
Okay, my voice is okay?
Very much. Please go ahead. Yes, very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And thank you that very frequently we are meeting online, Chairman, sir. And it's a great initiative what you have started to enriching the knowledge of the members. And we are fortunate to contribute into that, even from outside. And we are very happy to do that one as a faculty. And it's a matter of great honor to contribute to Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nath. Your role is totally acknowledged. We are indebted to you for your painstaking steps to ensure that members go home enlightened. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. So now I am starting my session, Information System Security Management. My presentation is showing one side is Bill Gates and another side is me. No, it's feel honor to be the other side of that. But purposely it has been kept here. What I have learned that I start the session with a story, so that very easy to relate it to the concepts or to the topic. So I am starting my session with a story, which is of Bill Gates. And along with that, I am going to show my introduction, which was told by the Sampoon. That Bill Gates, we all are aware that he has pioneered DOS and Windows, made the computers available for the individual users. Prior to that, it was possible only for the organizations, big organizations, and the research R&D organizations. So a story goes like that. Once upon a time, that Bill Gates went to the court of God. No, still he is on the earth, but this happened that once upon a time he met an accident and went to the court of God. So we all are aware in court of God what happens as per the Hindu mythology. There are 2 places, that heaven and hell is there. So God told that Bill Gates, you have done a lot of charity on the earth. So you choose where you want to go. So he told, I don't know what is your heaven and hell. All the time I was busy in that developing Windows and marketing Windows. So demonstrate me what is your hell and heaven. So first he was sent to the hell, and there he saw beaches, beautiful people on the beaches. And after that he told, what is your heaven? So he told that he was taken to the heaven, and in heaven he saw that music is going on, dance is going on, everybody is relaxing and enjoying. So he told God, I am American, I like beaches, put me into the hell. So he was put into the hell. So when he was put into the hell, so after a week, the king of hell, Yamraj, he thought that one VVIP is there in my kingdom. Let us see how he is. He has come to my kingdom as per his choice. Nobody even dreamed to come to hell, but he has come to my kingdom as per his choice. So when he went to see Bill Gates, so all those things what we have heard in the Hindu mythology that was going on, all punishments were going on in the hell with the Bill Gates. When Bill Gates saw Yamraj, he told, what is this? You have demonstrated me that beautiful beaches, beautiful people on the beaches, and what is this going on? So Yamraj told, whatever you have demonstrated, that was the demo only, and this is the real Windows. So this is the scenario when we are going to run the computer systems, when we are going for auditing the computer system, when we are going to secure the information system, or when we are surfing in the cyberspace. This is the scenario that the demo is completely different from the real life scenario. So if you'll see the latest trend, which is to substantiate my statement, this is the one of the relevant that report I have taken out. This is of the 2021. It is of Accenture. Okay, this is a cyber threat intelligence released on this year, February 15, 2022. And the key trends, what they are telling, that ransomware actors test new extortion methods, that TTPs are becoming more advanced. Okay, commodity malware at large scale, it is being available. Commodity malware means the malware which is available off the shelf, and you can directly use it. Need not required to modify. It is without customization, it can be used. So that is happening. Dark web actors challenge IT and OT networks. This is the key trend and highlighted in this report. Another outputs are or input we are getting from this cyber threat intelligence report is 35% of intrusions were made up of ransomware and extortion operations in 2021. 30% of malware threats observed were backdoor threats in the 2021. And there was an increase of more than 100%. Exactly the figure what they have given is the 107% increase in the ransomware and extortion operations from 2020 to 2021. Now, for auditing professional, whether this is a good news or bad news, according to me, it is a good news. And why we are talking about the information security and how it is going to be more and more relevant in this contemporary world. Okay, the two important aspects I have put here. One is the Kerberos. Most of you must be comfortable with the Kerberos or well versed with the Kerberos, that this is the authentication system which is used in the Windows system. Now it was developed by the MIT, USA, and it uses 56 bits encryption. Now you can think of that, what level of security is there. Okay, the AES what we are using in the cryptography, it is of the 256 bits. Okay, digital certificate what we are using, it is 2048 bits, and this is 56-bit encryption. So it is a challenge that when over a period of time, when the new technologies are coming, the speed of the processors are increasing, the logics are increasing, the information is going to be, the tools and techniques are going to be made available in the public forum or the public space websites. Freely anyone can download and try out that one. The another software which personally I salute that software is the NSO Group. NSO Group is of the Israel. You all must have heard about the Pegasus. No. So this NSO Group software is Pegasus. What was the motive behind that? To tackle the terrorist threat across the globe. That was the motivation. But actually, what is happening? We all are aware about that. The last year it was highlighted in India also and many countries. Okay, that Pegasus. Why I salute Pegasus? Because it is a zero-click malware. What does it mean? As a user or as a target, your action is not required. You need not require to. You are not going to be even compelled or even for any click. Nothing is required or download any malware or any file. Nothing is required. It is a zero-click malware. So even your system is on only, it is going to be downloaded on your machine, and after that, it is going to install the malware and it is going to take the control from the remote, and whatever activity is happening on your machine, that is going to happen on that screen will be available, or the information will be available at the remote from where this malware has been pushed on your machine. Now, one myth we are carrying that this Pegasus is for the WhatsApp. No, it is not true. Pegasus is for all type of social networking, not only social networking, even for the mails, Gmail, the chat, the softwares what we have got, that Skype. Okay, so it is for all. Okay, but why we are knowing that it is for Pegasus? Because more and more in public forum, the news is available with respect to WhatsApp. But it is for all, even on your Google, Gmail, it is there. You are on a Skype, it is there, or any other such type of social network, it is there. And it is able to compromise desktops, the laptops, tabs, and this type of devices. We were carrying a myth that Apple is fairly secure, but this 2021, the Apple has released the software patch linked with the Pegasus spyware. Okay, so that myth has also gone. Now, all this news, or information I am parting with you, it is a good news for auditing professionals. How it is a good news for auditing professional? All these are the risks. When risk is there, then we are there. Okay, information security professional and auditing professionals, even the forensic professionals, these are there till the time risk is there. So risk is there. So for that purpose, I am telling. Another thing, the most important thing when we are talking about the controls or managing the security, this was the Dmitry Alperovich. That time in 2006, he was vice president of McAfee of the threat research. Okay, and he has pioneered or discovered the Operation Sandy Rat. What was the Operation Sandy Rat? Operation Sandy Rat was that without knowledge of the system owner or the enterprises, their systems were compromised, and through backdoors, and a lot of the breaches were taking place. Most of the enterprises were not aware about that. This was disclosed by the Dmitry Alperovich, and that time in 2006, he made a statement. There are only two types of companies: those that know they have been compromised and those that don't know. What does it mean? There are no systems across the globe which is not compromised. The difference is whether it is known to the enterprise or the owner of the system or not. That is the only difference. But all the system has been compromised. That has already happened. So we are having we are in the compromised systems world. So a lot of opportunities are there. What is required? The skill set is required to see all these risks and to recommend what mitigating activities are required. The scenario is that when we are not aware about that, you are using the information system almost small to big or the giant organizations also, they are using the information system. It is something like that you are sailing in the sea or in the river. You are enjoying that one, but you are not aware that what is next to come. When cyber attack is going to take place, the scenario is going to be like that. So what is required, that we must be aware about that. No, even though risk is there, it is mitigated, not mitigated, that is a different dimension. But the primary dimension is that we must be aware about that what risk is there. We means the auditing professionals, the information security professional, enterprises, the third-party service providers, regulators, government, all the concerned stakeholders, they need to be aware about that. Okay. When we are talking about the information system security, this the fundamental concept is of the CIA, which is talking about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I will see later on. But other concepts are also there. STRIDE is there, DREAD is there. What does it mean? That it is the here we are talking about the CIA. CIA means the threat category or the risk category, whatever the category is there. Galaxy of risk is mapped to the CIA. So when we are talking about CIA, so there will be only three type category of risk. Either it will be confidentiality, integrity, or availability. So all risks related to the information system has been mapped here. Similarly, in STRIDE also, all risk has been mapped to that. These are the mnemonic codes. CIA is a mnemonic codes, DREAD is a mnemonic codes, STRIDE is a mnemonic codes. Okay, STRIDE is of the Microsoft. They have got the threat modeling tool also. If time permits, let me see. I will. If time permits, I will demonstrate that also. So this is the when we are talking about the security goals. What is the security goal? Is the first thing we need to understand what is that policy. That policy is going to be built around or develop around this confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These are the three categories of risk. What confidentiality risk or integrity risk or availability risk is there to the enterprise? According to that, this policy is going to be developed. Now there are adversaries. So we need to map those threats which are having the coupled with the vulnerability to this risk, and then we can understand that what level of risk is there and what is needs to be done. What it needs to be done means where we can do. We have got the system, we have got the hardware, we have got the mechanisms. There we are going to implement the controls guided by the policy for the prevailing threats or for the risk universe of the enterprise. For that purpose, this is happening. Okay. When we are talking about confidentiality, confidentiality is this. How confidentiality is? Confidentiality means the disclosure of information should take place to the intended users only. Okay. Now, how that is going to be controlled? There is going to be mechanism of the concept of the AAA. Okay. Authentication, authorization, and accountability. That concept is there. Okay. So depending upon the roles and responsibility and the list privileges, according to that, the disclosure of information is going to take place to the intended user. Now, how that is going to be controlled, that depends upon the mechanism which is going to be applied. Okay. That also on the software and hardware. That's why I have talked here about the software, hardware, and mechanism. Okay. What algorithm you are going to use to, if you are going to use encryption? Okay. On what machine we are going to do that one? What type of software we are going to use to implement those mechanism? Okay. Even though we are going to use, say, SSL, TLS, no, to make our information confidential, or say password is going to be kept inside the system. System administrator has got all right to see, if he is having full rights, is all right to see all the information within the system. Now, how that is going to be protected? So that is going to be protected through some mechanism. One mechanism which is known as a hashing, or generating the hash value of that. So whenever we are going to enter the password, the hash value is going to be generated with the same algorithm which has been used to preserve the password at the beginning, and then the mapping of the hash value is going to take place. If it matches, then it is going to take. Lot of threats are there around that. For the web application, one common threat is there, which is known as a SQL injection. In that, we are through some mechanism, we are able to compromise the even admin rights also in most of the circumstances that is happening. Okay. So what is required to understand? That's why I have given an example of this Kerberos. No, it must be relevant to the contemporary world. That it's the 56 bits is not going to work. So that when we are using this, the hashing software, which hashing software algorithm we are going to use, and what is the status, whether it is a compromise or good strength is there. Otherwise, what will happen? It will give you a false sense of security. This goes with all types of control. Whatever the controls we are talking about, that I will tell that what is the control. We'll see that. But it goes with all types of control, not only here. Okay. Now next one is the integrity. When we are talking about integrity, yeah. Meanwhile, you people can check the authenticity of this, and if you are finding any mistake, you can tell me. Okay. So 4 is equal to 5. Even if I can tell you 4 is equal to 6, 7, 9, everything will be here. Okay. Integrity is having the two important dimensions. One dimension is that correctness. Another dimension is completeness. So the integrity talks about two important dimensions: correctness and completeness. It should be correct and complete. Okay. I always used to give example for this integrity, that if there is somebody is going to ask my name, and I am going to tell my name is Dr. Onkar. Now you know my name is, complete name is Dr. Onkar Nath. So what will be the percentage of integrity of my statement if I am going to tell my name is Dr. Onkar? Okay. So in general, I used to give reply 50% or 66% or 66.66%, like that. No, integrity never lies in between 0 to 100. Either integrity is there or integrity is not there. So 4 is equal to 4 is the integrity. 4 is equal to 5 is not correct. Okay. So it must be correct. It must be complete. Another example I used to give to make understand what is integrity, that if we are having a database, and in database some 10 million records are there. Out of that 10 million records, only one record is erroneous, having error. No, or only one record has been modified, unauthorized, modified in an unauthorized way. Now, what is the integrity of that database? Out of 10 million, only one record. No, integrity is 0, because we do not know what is that one record. If you know what is that one record, then we'll take out that record, erroneous record, or modified record, unauthorized way modified record, and then we'll get the 100% integrity of that database. Okay. The third one is that availability. So availability of the system, resources, information should be made available to the intended users when and wherever promised. If it is 24/7, 24/7 it should be made available. Compromise of either of this means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We, as a security professional or as the good practices, it is told that it is a compromised system or compromised information. So there is need to maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the system, resources, infrastructure, information, so that we can tell that the information system is intact, safe and secure, and businesses can use this infrastructure, this support, for running their business processes. The standard which is available is the ISO 27001, which is also known as the ISMS, Information Security Management System. The latest release of Information Security Management System is of 2022. This year only it has been released. Earlier we are having 114 control. Now it has been reduced to the 93 controls. Okay. And earlier we are having the 14 classes. Now we have got the 4 themes. These 4 themes are people, organizational, technological, physical. And within this, we have got the 93 controls. Okay. When we are talking about controls, controls are outcome of the risk treatment. When we are treating the risk, and that too when we are going to choose an option which is known as a mitigation, there only the control is there. So as information security professional or as auditor, if you want to see where is the control, then we have to see the risk register. Risk register is also known as a risk universe, which is having record of all risks associated with the enterprise, with that environment. Okay. periodic review is going to take place. That depends upon the risk management policy of the organizations. According to that, it is going to take place. Okay. And there is also periodic review and monitoring, reporting also, and communication is going to take place about the status of those controls, about the status of the information security in the enterprise. Okay, that is happening. And depending upon that, if there is a compromise of control or ineffectiveness of control is there, according to that, the appropriate measures are going to be taken by the management. Okay. Particularly when we are talking about risk, it is a threat coupled with the vulnerability. When I'm talking about vulnerability, vulnerability means I'm talking about this. Okay. So if vulnerability threat is there, vulnerability is not there, risk is not there. But if threat is there, vulnerability is also there, so threat coupled with vulnerability is going to be the risk. So corresponding, the whatever the threat is there, there should be a corresponding vulnerability. So that when the risk is a future component, if risk is going to materialize, it is going to be accounted for into the books of accounts. No, after that it is not risk. Risk is going to remain risk till the time it is not it has not been materialized. The moment it is going to materialize, it is going to be accounted for. No, after that it is not going to be the risk. It is going to be into the profit and loss account. Okay, so till the time it is the probability is there, risk is there. So risk is a future component, and threat coupled with the vulnerability. So we are going to see whatever the threat is there, whatever vulnerability is there, and after that we are trying to understand that how much impact will be there. How much impact will be there on the business process. When risk is going to be identified, after that we need to understand that how much impact will be there. We may have a multiple risk. All risk is not going to be mitigated. Some risk is going to be avoided. Some risk is going to be transferred. Some risk is going to be mitigated, and some risk is going to be accepted also. So what are those parameters? That those parameters are going to be developed by the senior management or the top management of the enterprise. For the enterprise risk, those parameters are going to be developed. From there, for IT risk, the component is going to be taken out, and those parameters on which this comparison is going to be done or mapping is going to be done is the risk appetite and the risk tolerance. So whatever risk is going to be accepted, so how much impact will be there and how frequently it is going to happen. So even though if impact is less or lower, but frequency is high, very frequently it is happening, then it will become unacceptable. Even though the impact is high, but frequency is low, so it will be treated as a low impact and it will be opportunity. Opportunity, how it will be opportunity? Opportunity means we can do the trade-off. No, we are going to accept it. So we are going to get some leverage to trade off the risk tolerance, and through that some reward is or some incentive is going to be there. So on the basis of that, the trade-off is going to be done. Now this pictorial depiction is telling that different risks are there at the different state. Some are acceptable, some are unacceptable, some are the really unacceptable means immediate action is very high. No, immediate action is going to be required. Okay, when action is going to be taken, what does it mean? After identification, whatever the risk has been identified on the information system, that is going to be treated according to the parameters which has been given. No, so we are going to see whatever the existing controls are there. After that, what risk is going to be left over? No, whether it is meeting that risk appetite and risk tolerance benchmark. No, then we need to respond it. For responding the risk, we have this option. No, in the background we are able to see the some image of the soul. No, Atma. So I used to call it Atma. No? Avoid, transfer, mitigate, avoid, transfer, mitigate, and this is the typographical mistake is there. This is accept. Okay, this is accept. Let me immediately correct it. So this is the avoidance is you are going out of that environment. Transfer. In case of transfer, risk is not transferred. Ownership of risk is always going to remain with the enterprise or with the owner. What is transferred? The impact. Some part of the impact is going to be transferred, and some risk is going to be mitigated. When we are talking about mitigation, here only the control is there. Rest of the risk response option, control is not there. Even in acceptance, the control is not there. But 100% mitigation of risk is not going to take place. But whatever the mitigation has been taken place, those recording we can get it to the risk register, and we'll see that the control is there. And what is our job? Our job is to test those controls, because through those controls only the risk has been mitigated below the risk appetite level and risk tolerance level. If those mitigation has taken place in a right manner or in effective manner, that's what they are talking about here, the effectiveness, whatever the effectiveness of the controls, they are talking about that. Okay. So if it is going to be effective, then the risk is managed up to the acceptable level for the enterprise, and the IT infrastructure or information system is safe and secure for running the business processes up to the acceptable level of risk. That is the risk appetite and the risk tolerance. Okay. There is a concept of risk culture. No, here the management is going to take care of the controls and the crisis. Okay. And leadership is talking about the compliance, commitment, and the culture. Okay. So from the top, it is a top-down approach. So from there, if the top management is having inclination towards the risk-aware culture or risk-taking culture or risk-averse culture, so whatever the message we are getting or the direction we are getting from the top, according to that, this is going to take place. Some of the risk factors which has been given here, there is also the bottom up approach is also there, where from the scenarios it goes to the mapping to the business objective, so that we can see how much risk is there. According to that, the controls are going to be recommended. But ultimately, it is the top management who is going to take a call, or the owners who are going to take a call whether you have to mitigate it or not. The owners of the enterprises or the top manager of the enterprises has got all right to accept all risk. Okay, even though it is not permitted by the regulators, they have got all right to do that one. After that, maybe the regulator or law of the land is going to take action. They have to face that one, but they have got all right to do that one. As a risk practitioner, we are the consultant. As an auditor or information security professionals, we are telling them that these are the state of affairs of IT risk is in your enterprise is there. You have to take some action, or it's okay, whatever the evaluation is there, evaluation of the control, output of the evaluation of the control, that we are going to tell. The different risk factors are there, external environmental factors, internal environmental factors we can get, risk management capability of the enterprise, IT capability, whether they can implement those controls or not, that much fund or that type of resources are available or not, or even support is available or not, or IT related business capability. These are the factors which are going to help us to understand that how much the risk is going to be mitigated. Now, almost it is acceptable to everyone that cybersecurity is a people's problem. It's not the system's problem. It's a people's problem. Okay. So this is one of the outcome that I have taken it here to make you understand that the most important asset which is there in that enterprise, or most risky asset which is there in the enterprise, is the people. No, through that the phishing attack, or even the vishing, SMSing, social engineering, this type of attacks are taking place through the human, or human resource is the weakest link in the information system environment. And that's why the first attempt is going to be made to compromise the people through luring, through some incentive, or through creating some fear. No, it's very common. in Mumbai, very frequently nowadays we are getting the SMS that your previous month electricity bill is not updated. Not updated, it is not written, not update. So please contact the electricity officer, and one mobile number is there. No, you see how openly the mobile number, through mobile number you can trace. The enforcement agencies, particularly this government agencies, they are having capability to trace the exact location and exact users. We have seen in the multiple cases which has happened in the Chhattisgarh, in the Raipur, it has happened. There was a tracing of one individual who had cheated the IAS. So human is the weakest link in the information system environment. So the 43% of employees are not aware that clicking a suspicious link or opening an unknown attachment in an email is likely to lead to a malware infection. This is not the number only. 43% is not a small number. It's a nearly 50%. Okay. Cloudy on the details is 1 in 4 believe it's acceptable to use a personal cloud server to transfer work from home as long as the cloud service platforms are preemptive the virus scan. Example of that, when we are using the drives, okay, for storing that one, and through that the data transfer is going to take place. The third one is that how users get baited. No, the 48% of malicious email attachments are Microsoft Office files. Now, can you get the people or the users of the information system, those who are not using the Microsoft Office files? Okay, often disguised as an invoice or receipt or some lottery or something like that. It is happening. 48%. Passing on password, 1 in 3 believe that securing their laptop or mobile device with a password represents little to no security risk. Okay. The dangerous diligence. 39% say it is a good idea to reply to a potential social engineering attempt. Now, asking for clarification or information from the possible scammer, and yet another the 15 out of that the 59% are not fully confident they could identify a social engineering attack, whether it is an attack or it is a real thing. So people are becoming victim of that. The last but not least is the dubious downloads. 24% believe it's safe to download third-party mobile apps that do not access corporate data. No, if I ask the audience, it is not possible to do the poll, but you can ask yourself if anyone have not downloaded any app on their mobile, just they can put into the chat or in the question answer. During the question answer mode, I will interact. Okay, I am one of them who has not downloaded any app on the mobile. Okay, so what is required? We need to profile the threat. There is a need to profiling of the threat. Now here, when we are talking about profiling of the threat, so think like an hacker. Okay, sorry. So here the different threat levels have been given from 1 to 8. 8 is the lowest one. Okay, 1 is the highest one. Okay. Now here the commitment is there, and this side how much resources are going to be used for compromising any enterprise or the information system. Okay. So we have got the intensity, high intensity, and stealth. Stealth means hiding. Hiding level is also very high. Means as a hacker, he or she is able to hide himself or his or her activity. Okay. Time will be years to decades. Technical personnel hundreds, and cyber knowledge is high. Knowledge is required. The kinetic knowledge also high, and access is also high, which is required. Okay. Similarly, if you are coming down, say if you are at a 5, the intensity is very high. Stealth is medium level, week to months it will take. Technical professional 10. Okay, and the knowledge is cyber knowledge is medium. This is also medium, and access also is medium. Now coming to the 8, the if intensity is low, a stealth requirement is also low. So time will be days to weeks. Technical professional, single professional will compromise that one. Knowledge level will be also low. The resource level will be also low. Access level will be also low. So if you are able to profile the threat according to our business requirement, then we are able to map it to the risk associated to our enterprise information system infrastructure or information technology. And then according to the business needs, the controls can be recommended. Now, in this information security, the third aspect, two aspects, the confidentiality and integrity, we have talked about that little bit more further. We'll talk about that. But the third aspect is the availability. Okay, and availability always used to tell, or most commonly used to tell, it is a business continuity plan, BCP DRP. But the new normal is not BCP DRP, it is a business resilience. Okay, this is a new normal. What does it mean? This resilience is having the two dimension. One dimension is telling that you should have immunity. Your system should be immune to attack. This immune to attack or immune to infection, we have very well understood in the COVID situation. No, and we have wonderfully understood what is the meaning of the immunity. Okay, so even single sneezing, we are the suspecting that maybe some COVID is there. So what is the meaning of immunity? We have understood. So even though we were part of the environment where the COVID-19 virus was there, few people got infected, for few people it became fatal, but most of the people, they survived. No, that's why we are here in this conference today, because we survived, we passed through the such. What does it mean? Our immunity was high. So if we are going to develop the immune information system infrastructure, then lesser impact will be there of the threats exploiting vulnerability or the risk on our information system. Another dimension is, it is talking about that even though if attack is going to take place, then in that scenario, what should happen? We should have capability to bring business to normal quickly, or bring back business to normal quickly. So first thing, it should be immune to the attack. And even though even after that level of immunity, if attack is going to take place, so we should have arrangement which is going to bring back business to normal quickly. I am not talking about continuity, I am talking about bringing back business to normal. Okay, these are the two dimensions which are there in the resilience. Okay, now a few important concepts are there with this availability. One is the RPU and there is the RTU. That many times it is going to be confusing, or the interchangeably it is going to be used. But recovery time objective is going to talk about that how much you can tolerate the downtime. What is that period for which you will have a tolerance up to the tolerance level, or you can tolerate, you can wait to start from the alternate side, or the recover the business process from the alternate means. And the second concept of RPO, recovery point objective, is telling that if you are going to recover the business process from the alternate means or alternate side, you can do that business process with how much old data. Now, this is not going to be consistent for the all processes of the enterprise. It depends upon the process to process. And similarly, the recovery point objective is also depends upon the process to process. For better understanding, I can tell you that we are talking about the business process. I always used to give example of the human body. In human body, how many systems we have got? No, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Anyway, but one system everybody is aware about, that respiratory system, which is the most critical system. Why most critical system? If any accident or anything is going to happen, the first thing which is required to be recovered is the respiration. No, So that's why CPR is going to be given. The even though blood is flowing out, but there is a dehydration or there is severe weakness, all those things are going to be addressed later on. But first, the respiration is going to be taken care. That system is going to be recovered first. Why? What is the reason behind that? It is so critical that if within 3 to 4 minutes this breathing is not going to start, then supply of oxygen is going to be stopped to the brain, and then the solid brain will start turning to the liquid. And after 30 minutes, the brain is going to turn into the liquid, and that situation, that state is known as a brain dead. So those who have opted for the organ donation, they are aware what is the situation of the brain dead. No. So when we are talking about the recovery time, so recovery time is going to be dependent upon the criticality of the business process. Criticality means we need to understand through the example what I have given is the respiratory system. Now the data which is or the resource which is required for the respiration is what is that? Oxygen. No. So similarly here for that business process some data will be there. So with how much old data you can start the business process. So both are going to be this is going to be depending upon the business process, not consistent for all the process of the organization. Similarly, RTO and RPO will be different for the different business processes in the enterprise. And according to that criticality, if it is RTO is 0, RPO is 0, it is the most critical. So whenever any the untoward incident or disaster is going to happen to the enterprise, in that circumstances, the first thing which is required to be recovered, or in what priority it is required to be recovered, the business process. So RTO is going to tell that one. Okay. Now, apart from this RTO and RPO, another concept, two more concepts I am going to discuss here, which is known as a maximum tolerable downtime. This maximum tolerable downtime is telling that there is a RTO and RPO which you can wait after a disaster is going to hit or interruption is there for recovering the business process. But MTD or MAO, maximum acceptable outage, is telling that if you are going to cross that time limit, then it will not be possible to recover the enterprise. It will become fatal to the enterprise. It will not be possible to recover that one. Okay. And the fourth concept what I am discussing here is the minimum business continuity objective. When we are talking about minimum business continuity objective, so we are talking about that during the disaster time, when business continuity plan is going to be activated, so all processes cannot run from the through the alternate means or according to the business continuity plan. So what is required that according to the criticality to the business process or according to the importance to the business process, it is going to be decided that which business processes are going to run during this disaster period or disaster time. So that is telling the minimum business continuity objective that even though disaster has hit the organizations, this much business processes must run to have the sustainability or the existence of the organization in perpetual terms. So that is required to be decided, and as information security professional or as the auditor, we should see that these parameters are defined in coordination with the business users, because IT information system is the support function. Ultimately on this the business process are going to be delivered, so it must be in coordination with the business process owner so that we can understand the real requirement of the business processes. Now, along with the information security, one more concept has come up, which is known as a data privacy. No, and nowadays it is becoming more and more critical to the enterprises when it comes to the data privacy. Now, many in India we have got at a draft level. Now it has been taken back from the parliamentary committee also. Let us hope that in near future it is going to come up again. but the other dimensions are going to be added again in the personal data protection bill. It is at the draft level still. But the other, the countries say the most common or most popular is the GDPR, no, or most discussed is the GDPR, which is of the European Union, no, where if the data is going to be compromised, the class 6 is talking about that the penalty will be there, irrespective of the enterprises. And what is the penalty? Penalty is that 4% of the global turnover and the 20 million euro, whichever is higher. And failing to report to the regulators within that stipulated time, depending upon the criticality, another penalty is there, which is telling about 2% of the global turnover and 10 million euro, whichever is the higher. Okay. Similarly, in our the personal data protection bill we are having, in our means our Indian, 15 crore and 5 crore. Again, it is irrespective of the enterprise, size of the enterprise or the turnover of the enterprise. This penalty was there. Okay. Now, for this purpose, or even for confidentiality, integrity, and the availability, we are talking about the particularly the more and more compromise of data is going to take place. And for that purpose, there is a concept which is known as a DLP, data leakage prevention. And for data leakage prevention, first, prior to applying that data leakage prevention, or the first step which is required to be implemented is the classification of the data. No. We cannot tell that all data is critical. The way the bankers used to tell, the banking companies, they used to tell their all data is critical. Then all data is going to have the same level of the control. It is going to cost a lot to the organization. And then the monitoring and other things review, and even impact is going to be there. Compromise of or breach is going to take place. So all will be treated as a critical. So there is a need to have a classification for that. When we are implementing the data leakage prevents or the protecting the leakage of the data is having 3 states. No, we need to understand that what control is required to be implemented as per DLP depending upon the state of the data. What are these 3 states? The one is the data is at rest. At rest means on any memory device it is there. Maybe the hard disk, maybe the pen drive, maybe the detachable hard disk, or the optical device, or tape drive, or tapes, or the storage. Okay, data is at rest. The second state is data is in transit. It is traversing on the network channels, on communication channels it is traversing. So the control what we can put in the rest, whether the same control can be applied on the when the data is traversing. Say when data is at rest, it is within us. Within us means within the enterprise. So we can put the control, have the key. When data is in transit, maybe it is going to the different organization, some sister concern, some regulator, some government agencies. So we have to, if you are going to apply the encryption, we need to provide the key to them. How that key exchange is going to take place. So we need to understand the complete ecosystem. Now the third state of the data is that the data is going to be in the process state. Now if you are going to encrypt the data, the processing will not take place. The encrypted data cannot be processed. Okay, so that's why when these tools are going to be used, we need to understand the criticality of the data, the classification of the data, and what is the state of the data. Now, data always not going to remain into the same state. The data which is in the rest, maybe sometimes it is in transit, or sometimes it is going to be processed. After that, again, it is coming back to the rest. So there is no static control which is going to be applied to the state of the data, because the state of the data is dynamic. The same data today, it is at rest, or after some time, it may be in transit, or it will go to the process. So we need to understand those scenarios, complete ecosystem, and according to that, we have to devise the plan for that. Otherwise, tool will be there, but we'll have the false sense of security. Now this concept, because I have talked about the cryptography, so and privacy, the more and more compromise is going to take place through decryption, because most of the organization in today's scenario, they have kept the data in an encrypted form. Hardly will get, or accidentally we may get the data into the text form. So it is the exception. But in general, the encryption is going to be there. But what level of encryption is there? What is the size of the key? What algorithm is going to be used? And how that key management is going to be done. The most important thing is that. Now, I used to give example in my age, because when we are in the hostel, there was 3 important places where we are able to keep our hostel room key. One was that there was some hole into the door frame. In that it is going to be kept. Another is if doormat is there, so below the doormat. Otherwise, to the adjacent room, the room, it is going to be kept there. These were the 3 important places where it was going to be kept. Now, the arrangement cannot be made here, but most of the time you will find that the similar arrangement is there. The key is going to be kept on the same devices, through that the decryption is going to take place. Or even it is a great challenge, so particularly for the database, when database is going to be encrypted, how key management is going to take place. The different new concepts has come up. Time is very limited, so those type of advanced concepts we have not added here. The tokenization and other things, sandboxing, tokenizations. These are the concepts which has come up. But when we are talking about the cryptography, there is another challenge what we have got, which is the post-quantum cryptography. If you are aware about the quantum computers or quantum cryptography, so in quantum computers, there is whatever the keys are going to be generated, these are not going to be exchanged through algorithm. At the destination also, the similar keys or the same key is going to be generated, and through that decryption is going to take place. Okay. Now, why we are discussing about the post-quantum cryptography? Because these computers are very, very high-speed computers. New technology computers are there. Say, if you see just for understanding purpose, I am telling you that if some supercomputer is going, or the hundreds of mainframe computers are going to do the processing in a year, so in a few days that quantum computer is going to do that alone. Okay, so what is happening? We have got the faster computing capabilities. So through that, it is possible to generate the key, map the key. Then you will come to know what is that decryption key, and you can decrypt the information. What you are using for when the data is traversing on the network, data is in transit, what we are using, you are using the encryption. Now encryption is having the 2 important elements are there. One is the algorithm, and another is the key. Now size of the key is also given. And now when we are talking about key, we are aware about that. What is the bit size of the key and what is the size of the key length. Now what characters are going to be used into the key? 0 and 1. Okay. So it's a question of only combination. Everything is 0 and 1 only inside the system. So that can be generated very easily. If it is the size of the key is small, even manually we can generate that one. If the 4-bit key is there, 8-bit key is there, it can be generated very easily. No, manually also, few time it will take few hours for 8-bit key, but it can be generated. Okay, manually we can note it down, and mapping can be done. Okay, maybe it will take in days, but can be done. So what is happening in the today's scenario? The harvest today, today's concept is that we are very comfortable that TLS is there, or something like that, IPsec, or some encryption methodology is there when data is traversing on the network, encrypted data is going. So, but and key is the safe, the out of band communication, the key exchange was taking place. But in today's scenario, what is happening? They are not attempting to decrypt. The adversaries or hackers or crackers, they are just harvesting that. No, what they are harvesting, the encrypted information. In future, they will decrypt that one. This is very, very critical when it comes to the privacy of the information. because most of the private informations are going to be static in nature. No, it's not that business data which is going to be dynamic in nature, but the most of the private information is going to be static in nature. It doesn't change over a period of time. Very few information is there which is going to change over a period of time. So that is going to be very, very challenging when it comes to the, even for confidentiality purpose also. So today concept is the post quantum cryptography. When quantum computer has come up or the quantum cryptography has come up, just harvest and decrypt in the future. That is the concept in today's scenario it is going on. Now, when I was talking about threat modeling, the threat modeling means we are going to, some tool is going to be used. Today the time is not available that much. So otherwise I would have shown you the demonstration, but I can tell you that Microsoft tool is there, Stride, very easily. You can see the YouTube videos and you can use that one. The designs you can take and you can see the threats, which is not possible when we are going to do the evaluation or when we are going to do the evaluation of the controls or the risk assessment of the risk. It is humanly not possible to give the all take into account all entry and exit point and vulnerabilities associated to that, threat associated to that, and arrive at a right risk or right level of risk. It is not possible to do that. A Stride tool I used to apply whenever this threat modeling is there, and very easily you can arrive at the report is also going to be generated. Yes, some separate tools are there to mitigate those risks, whatever the risk has been identified or threat has been identified through this. But this is a wonderful tool. I recommend that. Now it's a changing scenario. Earlier we are in the static environment. Now it is a dynamic environment. We are in a connected world. So we cannot think of even some of the gadgets which is there, the at home, fridge, TV, the smart TV, air conditioner, mobiles, the laptops, desktops, the many devices, which even the this speakers, no, they are having the network connectivity. So hardly will find any home where apart from mobile, some such type of devices are not there. So threats are there. I am talking about the individual. Think about the enterprise scenario. So where such type of multiple devices are there. Now there is a changing of the goalpost. The goalpost is moving. What is that goalpost? Earlier for the adversaries, the goalpost was the enterprise information system environment. No, there it was that they were targeting. They were targeting the data center. They were targeting the servers. They were targeting the web applications. This was the scenario. No, they were targeting that network connections. Now, over a period of time, slowly, ample controls had been implemented or good level of security has been developed around this information system infrastructure. Now, in last 3 to 4 years, what I have experienced or I have seen that the adversaries, particularly the hackers and crackers, they have changed the goalpost. Now, in lieu of targeting directly to the enterprises, they are targeting to the service providers, the IT vendors, those third parties, those who are providing services. Through that, we are getting the services. The software developers, say directly to the Microsoft, directly to the Oracle, directly to the hardware manufacturers. They are attacking there. So what is happening now? You see what change has taken place due to this change of the goalpost. That we earlier the specific some limited number of targets were going to be impacted, or the target audience were going to be impacted. Here, once they are going to compromise, say some applications, SolarWind is one of the example of that. And you will surprised to note that first time when disclosure was made, 33,000 customers, they were having impact. 17,000 out of that more than 50%, 60%, they told that they are compromised. The rest also remember my first statement that there are two types of system. One is compromised and known, another is compromised and not known. So maybe that type of scenario. But you see the single compromise of that the supply chain. This is known as a supply chain attack. Okay, though those who are providing the services to the enterprise, they are going to be compromised. Okay. Now there is a paradigm shift also. A lot of the challenges we have discussed, but what has happened now, there is a rise of digital empathy. What is this digital empathy? That what has happened, that earlier people were not accepting, enterprises were not accepting that, or even the governments were not accepting that they have been compromised. But nowadays we have got ample information in that public space or the on the internet, which is telling, or disclosure is also going to be made. Governments, they are making the disclosure. Enterprises, they are making the disclosure. They are accepting that one because all are on the same plane. Okay, so nothing wrong in accepting that one. So it has become the digital empathy. Now, zero trust journey has just begun, but many enterprises, they have implemented that one. But the greatest question mark with this is particularly, which I have raised my concerns at the different forums, is that the implementation of the zero trust is going to take place through the APIs, because we have got heterogeneous type of systems, and for that purpose this is required. Most of the APIs which are going to be used in the zero trust are from the third parties. What is the trust of those? What is the zero trust of those APIs? This concern has also been raised by the NIST. Okay, the diversity of the data matters. The COVID situation has told us that even the butterfly effect we have seen, the little bit impact which has happened in the Wuhan, how much impact was there on the globe, the Brazil, Italy, another in the first phase. Remember those days? So whatever the attack is going to take place, similar to that, whatever the cyber attacks are going to take place or attacks on information system is going to take place, it matters for the people, those who are doing this monitoring activities or have developed such type of systems. My fellow speaker will discuss a little bit more about this, the SOC and other things. So that those type of data matters across the continent, or if any, because our the information system infrastructure is going to be identical. No, the Unix servers, Windows servers, what parameterization is there, that is different. What data is there, our company data is there, that is different. But infrastructure, the basic configurations, those things are going to be identical. Vulnerabilities associated to that is going to be identical, maybe the zero-day attack. Okay, cyber resilience is the fundamental to the business operations. Now, it's not only a question of the continuity, it's a question of the resilience. In a little bit in depth, I have discussed about that. And there is a greater focus on the integrated security. Earlier, it was implemented in bits and pieces. But you see the journey when we started this, the first control which was put was the antivirus. No, though we are very happy with the antivirus. No, in the enterprises, they were having the firewall and other things they were having, but for the individual, it was the antivirus. In today's scenario, also for the individuals, the personal firewall and the antivirus, nothing beyond that, unless and until specifically you are going to implement something. So there is a need to the focus on the integrated security. Otherwise, what will happen? You are making your door robust, but somebody will enter from the window or will break open the glass and will enter into the room. So there is a need to focus on the integrated security. So there is a paradigm shift of that. Okay. With this, I am going to allow for question and answers. Sampurna, any question answer session right now for me you are going to do, or at the end you are going to do?
Sir, the question and answers, actually, I have been looking at the portal, but there are no questions.
No questions?
No, sir, there are no questions as of now.
Okay, so I have got some time. So what I will do, I will demonstrate that threat modeling tool.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so just you allow me a minute. Okay, I will. But before that, let me. Okay, later on I will tell. Thank you. Stop share. This is the tool which I was talking about that. Okay, so this is GUI. Okay, graphical user interface is there. So I've already developed, due to the paucity of time, I have already developed a model. So I'm going to open the model. No, open a model is very a small model, complex model also I can open. So if you can see that one, this is one of the complex model which is given here. But I'm going to take a small model. Okay. In lieu of that, I'm going to open a small model. Okay, this is the model. What model is there? If you see the system design is like that. We have got a web applications, two web applications we have got. We have got a router. No, in between that, to avoid the complexity, I have only put this firewall. This is an internet boundary. I have put this red line. Red dotted line is that is a firewall. That firewall can be on the router itself. Okay. This is a packet filtering firewall that we can get it there, or we can have the gateway level firewall on this also we may have. Okay. So here there is a example of the some organizations I have written here. Okay. You can take any bank or any enterprise you can take. Through HTTPS, there is a two-way communication is going to take place. They are coming to the router. Through router, they are coming to the web applications. Behind that, there is a DMG, the design I have shown you, which is there. Okay. If this design, you see the both way communication, it is here also. It is here also to stand by the two web applications we have got. Okay, this is the on which this is in the DMG. DMG means demilitarized zone. So first it's going to hit. Very easy to develop this design, or directly whatever the system design is there that can be imported to this. Okay, so how threat is going to be modeled? If you are going to see, this is a design view. If you are going to see the analysis view, so you can see that how much that risk is there. So it is telling that 14 threats has been identified. Okay, here the 14 threats has been identified. It is giving, and what threat is there, that also giving. So for our understanding purpose, what I will do, I will generate the report. No, create a full report, and I will open that report and I will see that one. Through that report, we will be able to see this is the report. So how easily I have developed this report, you can see that. So total, the threat model summary is 14, mitigated 0. Now you see the same diagram is here. Now what it will do, it will go threat wise. No, so it has taken this diagram. What is this diagram? This diagram is, that is from router to this. And in that diagram, they are telling first is a spoofing of destination data store router. Okay, the potential excessive resource consumption for web application or router that can happen. The router data store could be corrupted. No, manually when we are doing assessment, we are not able to do this much, identify this much number of threat associated to that. Data store denies router potentially writing data. Data flow, HTTPS is potentially interrupted. The next one is the data store inaccessible, and they have the inaccessible means availability. So there they have given the category also. It is a denial of service. I'm talking about the stride. Okay, that is a mnemonic where this is, they are telling description, an external agent prevents access to a data store on the other side of the trust boundary. Other side of the trust boundary means this. Okay, so what will happen? There will be a denial of service. Availability of information or data resources will not be there. So there is the denial of service. Similarly, it has gone to this is the image it has taken. If I am going to do the same thing with the bigger data, bigger design, then you will see that more (27) errors we have got. Okay, and now as per the entry and exit points they have defined. There is another image, the third image. So exactly they are going to pinpoint where is the problem. So there is need to this tool is used only for modeling the threat, not for the mitigation purpose. For mitigation purpose, different tools are there. For verification purpose, also different tools are there. So I am just suggesting that we should move to the tools in lieu of assessing the risk manually. We should move to the tools. What will happen? There will be the structured form you are going to arrive at that, and there will be the system behind that. So what will happen over a period of time, say if quarterly review is going to take place for the very high risk, or yearly review is going to take place for the complete risk management process. So we may compare. That comparison may also take place, and these are the tools which are going to be updated over a period of time. Newer releases we are getting, they are going to combine the newer threats, and that is going to help us to arrive at the right or the real level of risk or the right risk profile of the enterprise. And then the organization will be able to take the right decision for mitigating those risks. This is the thing what I wanted to demonstrate in detail. I cannot discuss because due to the paucity of time, I am going to stop here only. Okay, Sampoorn, you can take over. Just
so, sir, since there is a little time left, I have one question.
Yeah.
Just popped up. It is we have to understand the client system structure and that design. We have to put this in threat model for our audit purpose.
Yeah. Say audit purpose means when we are auditing the applications or the infrastructures where the infrastructure design is there, application design is there. So we can put into this tool. So easily we can understand. Even you can get the ready-made design from the enterprises. You can put it into the tool. These tools are readily available. Particularly this tool, what I have demonstrated, is available from the Microsoft at no cost. Okay, and this tool is used by the Microsoft for developing their system, their applications, their software designing. They are using this tool. So this tool is not ordinary tool. This is a reputed tool by the Microsoft, which we are using that one. So that is going to give you the right threats associated to that design. And then as an auditor, as information security professionals, we will be able to give the right recommendation. Otherwise, what will happen if you are not able to say in audit risk, 3 risks is there? No, one risk is the detection risk. So detection risk is on the part of the auditor. Will not be able to, there is a risk to that will fail to detect that one. So there is a need to use the tools in such complex environment. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So that was the only question that was asked in this session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, sir, you have very beautifully covered the topic of information system security, covering security goals and adversaries, CIA, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data, threat profile, recovery point objectives, time objectives, maximum tolerable downtime. We have talked about post-qualification cryptography, threat modeling objectives, and the paradigm shift. I thank you, sir. Thank you, Onkar, sir, for.
Thank you very much.
It was very informative for all of us, and I'm sure each of us have learned a lot from this session.
Good evening, Gokhale sir.
Good evening. It was a very good session, very informative and
thank you, sir.
Beautiful session. Yeah.
Gokhale sir is my senior, and hopefully whatever I have discussed, he is going to carry forward more information, more informative it will be there. He is having a galaxy of knowledge, and it's a pleasure for our faculties also to listen to him. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, Sampoorn, for giving me opportunity to address the ICI members. Thank you very much. God bless you.
With this, we would like to continue to the second part of the session. We have with us a very esteemed speaker, Avinash Gokhale, sir. To start with the education spectrum, Avinash sir has completed his BSc back in 1978 UDCT, and which is equivalent to chemical engineering diploma and in computer management DCM SEIS, Institute of Management of Management Diploma Institute of Management Diploma in Administrative Management DAM from Bajaj Institute of Management. Apart from that, he is also a certified information system CISA, ISACA, USA, ISO 2007, 27001 to 2005. Avinash was previously impaneled with British Standards Institute BSI as technical expert in ISO 27001 2005 and ISO 9001 2008 audits. He is also ex-PCI DSS auditors USAP. Avinash sir has been participating in statutory audits of banks along with audit firms for ensuring designing, implementation, and operation of ITGC and ITAC control frameworks as per RBI guidelines, conducting information system and security audits for banks, insurance companies, hospitals, chemical companies, etc. He has also conducted several audits in India, US, UK, and Dubai. Mr. Avinash has been has a teaching experience for over last 20 years of ISACA, the Mumbai chapter. And presently, Avinash sir is a visiting faculty for conducting information security and audit sessions of ICAI and a visiting faculty for the last 14 years for CAG. So today, Avinash sir will be covering on the second spectrum of our today's topic, which is contemporary digital technology. And with this, I would welcome Avinash Gokhale sir to please take over the session from here, sir. Avinash sir.
Yeah. Just a moment. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. And are you able to see the screen and hear my voice properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, the screen is visible. The voice is audible, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Sampurna ji, for my introduction. And the topic which I will be covering is the contemporary digital technology. So after the beautiful lecture of Dr. Omkarnath ji, it will be a digression from the topic of security. And I'll be going slightly into technology and some part of the operations also. And I will be touching upon the security of the digital technology. So this is my introduction, which already has been done by Sampurna ji. Now, if you search the Google on the internet, you will get a lot of hits. And out of these two hits, I have displayed them in the pictorial form. And if you see, look at the left side, and if you look at the right side, both the hits, if you see that they are quite complicated, but they mainly discuss only about the social networking platform and digital marketing and so on. So it is slightly confusing that what do we mean by digital channels. So the canvas of the digital channels is very large, and therefore what I'm going to cover is the whatever is important, the digital channels which are important for our members, that is the chartered accountants. And when I looked also at the Government of India website here, I hope this is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So
sir.
if you see here, Digital India initiatives, Government of India, they have here infrastructure, services, and empowerment. They have divided them into these three categories. So if you look at the infrastructure, you will find that there are many different digital channels which Government of India has given in this infrastructure category. So Aadhaar is there, and then certain common service centers, and then DigiLocker, and so many. So if you actually go to the third page, you will find that IRCTC Connect, Jeevan Praman, Meghraj, so many different digital channels Government of India is talking about. If you go to services, then again Government India is talking about the Agri-Market app, and it is talking about the BHIM application, and so on and so forth. I'll be touching up upon this NPCI, which is National Payments Corporation of India. And the third is the empowerment, and here the empowerment of the common public. So here also they are talking about several different digital channels. So this is the government's efforts in establishing digital channels in India. And if we go to the National Payments Corporation, NPCI, which is the payment corporation set up by the RBI for handling all the payments in India. So if we go here, then you will see that they have here what we do. So these many payment channels are there in India: UPI, RuPay, BHIM, NACH, IMPS, etc., etc. So many payment channels are there. It will be difficult for us to cover all these channels in detail. I have covered two channels, and I am trying to go into the anatomy of these digital channels. So these two things is the Indian scenario. One is the Government of India with its all infrastructure, services, etc., digital channels, and another is the National Payments Corporation of India. So these two are the main channels of Indian scenario. Now, the first thing which I am going to talk about three things here. One is the technology, second is the operations, and third is the security. So what is the technology behind these digital channels? That I am going to describe in somewhat detail, so that the chartered accountants will understand what are the fundamentals of these digital channels. So I have named it as demystifying digital channels. So there are 6 components of these digital channels. I have grouped them into 6 components. The first one is end devices. So the end devices could be our usual desktop, or it could be a laptop, even though it is not displayed over here. End device could be a desktop, or it could be a laptop, or it could be a micro ATM, or it could be a PDA, personal digital assistant, or it could be a POS, point of sales device. So at the end devices, the end user, that is the person who is interested in doing some kind of a transaction or doing some kind of a work, will be sitting on this end device, and then he will be doing the processing. Maybe he is entering some invoice, or maybe he is printing some bill, or maybe he is printing some purchase order, etc. So he or she will be sitting on the end device, end user. The second group is communication and networking devices. So here we have hubs, switches, routers, broadband routers, modems, etc. So we can group them as a telecommunication device or networking devices. Now these end devices which we are seeing here, they will not be processing the data, or they will not, even though they are processing the data, it will be a local processing of the data. But ultimately these end devices are going to get connected to backend systems. And what are the backend systems which we have? We have backend systems in the form of servers, or we have the backend systems which are the storage area network. I'll be discussing this a little later. And we have got a network attached storage. So these are the backend, these are considered as the backend systems. And for connectivity, we have telephone lines, or we may have satellite communication, VSAT, very small aperture terminal. and mobile technology. And then finally, we have security devices in terms of the physical security, CCTV and the related storage medium, and then the firewall devices. And all of these, that is end devices, communication network devices, backend systems, etc., they will be having a software. And that software will be in the form of operating system to so that the device can be operated. So these end devices, as I said, can be desktop or laptop where the end user is sitting and doing his work. Printer is the output device where the end user can take the printout, or he may use this scanner as the input device and he can scan the image and then he can process this image in the computers, or he or she may be using tabs and mobile phones, or maybe withdrawing money from ATMs or micro ATMs, or doing some transaction in malls, etc., from the point of sale devices or POS. Or there could be a personal digital assistant slowly getting replaced with the mobile phones, but many organizations still are using personal digital assistants, PDAs. The very good example in Mumbai, we are using BEST conductors. They have been given these PDAs on which they print the tickets. TV can be a end device, especially for watching the films, etc. And the new things which are coming up, I mean, new in the sense last 2, 3 or 4, 5 years, it has already been established. The IoTs or Internet of Things, like Dr. Omkar Nath was telling about the car having the intelligence module, or the air conditioners, or the refrigerators, or the elevators, etc., etc. So this is the first group, end devices, where the end user is sitting and doing the processing. Now, these end devices will be communicating with the backend devices with the help of these communicating and network devices. These are the modems in order to convert the analog signal to digital signal and digital signal back to analog signal, hubs and switches, routers, wired telephone lines, or mainly in wired telephone lines, we have 2 options available: lease lines and multi-protocol label switching lines. So basically, these are given by the service providers, which are the telephone companies. So from the nearby location of your telephone company, a lease line will come up to, or MPLS line will come up to your location. And then you will be connecting your end devices through this telephone line to the backend devices. Or there can be a wireless. So in homes, we are using the broadband routers, so wireless routers, or there can be a VSAT communication. So through satellite, the end devices can communicate with the backend devices. Of course, it is difficult for me to go into the details of all this because of the time limitation, but these are the devices which are used for communication and networking. And the users who are sitting on the end devices, they will be connecting to these backend systems through the communication devices and telecommunication channels. And backend devices mainly are the servers. So there can be a typical tower server, or there can be a rack mountable server. And these servers can be of 3 types mainly. Web server, where the user connects and he or she connects to the web server, that is the website where the website is launched on the web server. Then from the web server, the user is taken to the application server. So later on, I will explain how this exactly happens. So there will be an application server, and then there will be a database server where the data is stored. Sometimes there could be a middleware server. Okay, especially it is required for very high volume transactions or for queuing certain types of transactions. So it is called as a middleware, and therefore there could be a middleware server. But basically these are the backend systems. And nowadays, instead of storing data on the database server, instead of storing data on the database server, because the volume of the data is day by day increasing because of so many reasons, nowadays, instead of storing data on the database servers, most of the companies, even small companies, they are using what is called as a storage area network, that is SAN, which is shown here, or network attached storage, that is NAS. Mostly SAN is used. Network attached storage can be used by smaller companies to mid-sized companies. So here all the data will be stored, and database will be fetching the data from this storage area network. And this storage area network are designed in such a way that only if the entire storage area network crashes, then only there is a chance of losing the data. Otherwise, if one hard disk or several hard disks crash out of these storage area networks, still you can get back the data. Now, connectivity is possible through so many different channels. Earlier, we used to have PSTN lines, that is public switch telephone network dial-up lines, or ISDN dial-up lines. Nowadays, we are not using that. Still, there is a use in cable modem, especially home users. Broadband users, many people have shifted to broadband instead of cable modem. For the companies, this is the telephone line which is used, that is leased telephone line, either copper or fiber, or MPLS, which is a multi-protocol label switching. Some companies, especially those who can see the line of sight, that means two buildings of the companies can see each other, then they are using radio frequency connectivity or VSAT connectivity. And lastly, but not the least, is the mobile network, Wi-Fi network, and now 5G is coming, so WiMAX connectivity. And all of these, whatever we have discussed, PSTN, cable modem, etc., all are them through a service provider. And mostly this service provider is the telephone company. Okay, except maybe a cable modem. So cable provider, local cable provider may provide you a cable modem or cable router. And through that, you can get internet. So this is used for the connectivity. And because internet is not a secure medium, therefore we require security devices. There are many security devices, but primarily these three security devices are in use. This is for physical security, that is CCTV cameras, and they are connected to the storage where they store all the videos and pictures of the various, wherever the CCTV is fitted. And nowadays, companies are pulling all these images and videos or clips of the CCTV recording onto a central CCTV server, so that all the recordings are available centrally at one place. Second security device is firewall, IDS, IPS, etc., which is, the softwares are installed on this hardware device. So there could be a specific spatial hardware device, which is the firewall device. And for storing the encryption keys or the key management, especially in ATM and some such security systems, hardware security module, HSM module, which is also a device, which is a hardware device. And this device does the key management, key storage, generation of keys, etc., etc. So this is HSM module. You will find this in the ATM machines of the bank. So these are the security devices. And finally, the software. Now, software is there everywhere. Okay, so you will find software operating system for the switches also, for the routers also, for the firewall machines also, everywhere. Servers also, mobile phones. And there are these types of softwares which are generally used. Windows, which everybody is familiar, end users are familiar. Linux, Unix, Apple's operating system. And for Android mobile phone, there is a Android operating system. So if you are using a mobile phone, it could be a Apple OS or it could be a Android OS. Then you will have browser software in order to connect to the web-based system, that is to connect to web server or to connect to the internet. Or if you don't have browser software and your company is using a client server application, then on each of the end devices, the client software needs to be installed on every end device so that that client can connect to the backend server, but not through browser. Browser doesn't require any kind of a client system to be installed. Every machine, even the mobile phones also, will have a browser software pre-installed that is bundled along with the machine itself, or that is mobile phone or the laptop. And then end user connects to the web server, and web server connects to the application server, and then application server connects to the database server. So in technology, we call this as a 3-tier architecture. So this is tier 1, this is tier 2, and this is tier 3. Okay, so these 3 tiers you will find in any company, whether it is a small company, whether it is a bank, whether it is a hospital, whether it is an insurance company, etc., etc. And lastly, we will have security softwares in the form of anti-malware, in the form of firewall, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, data leakage protection system, and so on. Typically, all the backend systems will be stationed or housed in what is called as a data center. And data center can be quite complex. So I have just given here some pictures of the data centers. So you will find in data centers, there is a server room. And these are all the server racks. And thousands of servers are housed in this server rack. So they are rack mountable server. That means horizontal servers are there. So you can pull the drawer and then you can access the server physically. If you want to do something physically, then you can do that. So this is a server room with server racks. This is a cabling. So you can see that how complicated the cabling can become. So many cables which are running and they are connecting to these servers and other connectivity media. So you may find that this may be a server rack. This may be a connectivity rack wherein the switches and the routers, etc., they are kept. And maybe in another rack, there could be a telecommunication rack in which various terminating equipments, modems, etc., can be kept. So therefore, all these are connected with this complicated cabling system. And therefore, you can see that if there is a cable cut, then naturally you will have a problem of that security, which Onkar Nath sir was talking about, the availability. So the system may not be available. And with this complicated servers or the complicated cabling, there is a likelihood that the cable may cut. These are the power systems. So here you will have the generators and UPS and so on and so forth, with a lot of additional power supplies and a lot of additional sources of power from which the power is taken. And there can be a separate battery room. So where the batteries will be kept. And these battery rooms will provide the power in case of there is a power failure. And these data centers are so huge that you cannot physically go to each place unless, of course, you have to physically access that particular server rack. But you cannot physically go to this server room every time. And therefore, there is a centralized control room. And from this control room, there are a lot of such wall-mounted terminals are there. And from this control room, 24/7 by 365, you can keep track of all these servers, these batteries, the power systems, the rodent systems, the fire alarms, the water suppression, the fire suppression systems, etc., etc. And this is the air conditioning. So in order to cool, or in case of wherever there is a below 0 degrees temperature for heating system. So this is called as a HVAC system. So this is the air conditioning room. So all these equipment, backend equipments, that is servers and storage area network, etc., they will be kept at this data center equipment. So if you look at this network, I have drawn here today's network diagram, okay, which is the very, what you call as the basic network diagram. This basic network diagram tells us the complete story of the digital world. So at the left hand side of the diagram, there is a local area network. So this will be typically in any office, branch office or branch of a bank, etc. And this will be the end devices. So people will be sitting and doing their work. All the end devices are connected to switch, and switch is connected to the router to go out of the network or to connect to another network. And then there is a modem. So up to here, this is our company's premises, and these are our company's equipment. After modem, there is a telephone line which is getting terminated here. So this is a telephone line which is supplied by service provider, that is the telephone company. So the telephone company nearby local exchange, they will run a telephone cable physically or otherwise, and they will come up to here, up to your premises, and it will be terminated over here. And through this telephone line, our data is going to go. And on the right hand side of this diagram, there is a data center. And in data center, you will find there is a web server, there is an application server, and there is a database server. And this is a SAN storage or storage area network. And on this side, again, you will see similar equipment. That is, there is a modem, there is a router, there are switches, and there is a firewall. And this is connected to the web server. So any company, whether it is Google, whether it is Microsoft, whether it is IBM, whether it is hospital, bank, any company will have minimum this equipment, that is local area network at branch offices, and all the branch offices will be connecting to the data center. This data center may be located anywhere in the world, and this LAN will be connecting to the data center, and that is web server. Now, how the transaction, when the user does a transaction, how it goes. So from the PC, when user does a transaction, it goes to the switch. Then from switch, it goes to the router. Then it goes to the modem. Then from modem, it goes to the telephone line. That means it leaves our premises. It leaves our company's office. And then it goes to the local telephone exchange. And then this local telephone exchange, how he transmits this, whatever data we are sending, that we don't know. Okay, so therefore, this is, you can consider this to be a cloud. Finally, by hopping, this data will land up on the other side of the telephone company's office, that is wherever this data center is located. So suppose if this LAN is in Mumbai, obviously this will be a telephone company of that service provider in Mumbai. And if this data center is in Delhi, then this telephone service provider will be that from the Delhi. This could be a same service provider, same telephone service provider, or it can be a different service provider. And then the data will come here into the modem, then it will go to the router, then it will go to core switch. Then there is something called as a virtual LAN switch. It will go to the virtual LAN switch through the firewall. Okay, then it will go to the web server. And the web page will be shown to the user. So user will be able to see here the web page. And we say that the user has entered or user has visited the website. Now on that website, there will be a user ID and password. So user will type user ID and password. Now user ID and password will have to be processed. So whatever data is to be processed, that will have to be done by application server. So the data will be sent by the user ID and password. This data will go to the switch, and through the firewall, it will come to the application server. And application server will get that user ID and password. But the actual data of user ID and password is lying here. So therefore, application server will form a query, and it will send this query that please tell me whether this user ID and this password exists or not. Again, through the firewall, this query will come and it will hit the database server. Now, database server will fetch the data of user ID and password from the database table, now from the sandbox. So sandbox will supply the data. If user ID and password data is correct, valid, then it will supply it to the database server. Database server, again through the switch and through the firewall, will supply it to application server. Application server will process this data, generate a web page, that is the web response, and again through this VLAN switch and firewall, it will give it to the web server, and then web server will give it to the end user. All the interaction of any digital channel will be like this only. Of course, this is very the simplistic view. There are many complications and there are many other layers which can be considered here, but this is the basic minimum which everybody has to understand. So therefore, user is always connected to web server is always connected to application server is always connected to database server, and database server to sandbox, and back to application, back to web server. So this is how the today's networks are designed, or any kind of a digital channel is like this. Now, just a small 2-3 slides of internet I have given over here, so that you will understand what is the complication or how internet can be complicated. So this is the sea cable map. So you will see that here India and then US and all the countries, the entire world is connected through the fiber optic, fiber optic lines, and some cables are going below the sea. And later on, you can go and find out on internet that how this fiber optic cabling has been done. As far as India is concerned, we have what is called as 5 landing stations in India. So this is in Mumbai, Prabhadevi, and this is managed by Tata Communications. Then there are 2 landing stations managed by Bharti Airtel. One is at Chennai and one is at Mumbai. Then Reliance Globalcom, they are managing 1 landing station in Mumbai. SIFI is managing in Mumbai, and BSNL is managing in Tuticorin and Sri Lanka. So these 5 landing stations are there. This means that data which is going out of India or data coming inside India has to come through these 5 landing stations. So if you are situated anywhere here, and if you are sending an email to your friend in US, the data will either come here, or it will come here, or it will come here, or it will come here. And then from there, the data will pass out of India, or from out of India, the data will come over here. Now, which way the data will come depends on which service provider and how the service provider is routing the traffic. Depending on that, the data will be given to India, or from India it will go out. And there is a whole lot of non-profit organizations which look after this internet. So internet is not controlled by any country, but there are some non-profit organizations mostly located in US, and they control the various internet technology specification. Internet Assigning Numbering Authority, or Internet Assigned Numbering Authority, IANA. So the entire world is divided into these 5 regions: Africa, America, Asia Pacific, Latin America and Caribbean, and Europe. So whenever any website is created, it will have an entry in all these registries. These are called as registries. So this is a national registry. In India also, we have what is called as a NICSI, which is a National Registry of India. And then we have local registry. That is, there is a NICSI Mumbai, there is a NICSI Delhi, etc. And then there is a service provider like Reliance and BSNL, etc. And then there is an end user. So whenever there is an end user, he or she has to, or that company has to go to service provider. And then service provider is connected to the local internet registry. Local internet registry is connected to national internet registry. National internet registry is connected to that particular region wherever that national internet registry is located. So that is how the organization is done. I'm just giving you a brief overview. There are a lot of other complications which are involved, and a lot of other things are there. And this is a typical service provider setup. So you will find that, of course, earlier we used to call them as value-added network, VAN, but now they are called as service providers or internet service providers. So if you are at home, Wi-Fi modem, broadband router, and you will be connecting to the point of presence of the service provider. So this service provider has got point of presence in each city, in each village, etc. And this point of presence, you will connect to this service provider. Each service provider is connected to what is called as a network access point, those landing stations which I told you. And that is how all these landing stations are already connected. And that is how you are on the internet. If you are a company, then you will have a local area network office. Again, you are connecting to the POP, that is point of presence, maybe through a lease line or a MPLS line. And this POP is again connected to NAP. So therefore, again, you are on the internet of the entire world. So this is how the internet is working. Email system is everybody. So that is also a digital channel. Email system is usually everybody is aware, but these are again the end devices on which the end user is typing the email, and then he or she sends the email, which goes. So this is called as an outgoing email, which is through SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And then it travels, as I shown you there, it will go to web server of the service provider, then application server, then database server, and then it will be given to the recipients, whoever is the company. It will go on to their server, and then from their server it will be queued up into the mailbox, and then it will be given to the recipients end system. So that means this is end system, end device. This is the end device of the sender, and this is the end device of the receiver. So this is email system. This is a typical e-commerce system. So any e-commerce company like Amazon or Flipkart, etc., they will have, I mean, this is a simplistic view, but they will have this kind of systems. So again, here there will be, if you see here, there is a web server. Then this is a application server. And then there is a database server. Now, this e-commerce site, they will be using their products, and that is called as a product catalog. So they will be displaying their product catalogs onto their website. And from these product catalogs, the end user, consumer, who is doing the shopping. So this is end device, and this end device is through internet is connected to web server, and then it goes to the merchant server, and then it from the product catalog he selects the various items through shopping cart, and then so this is the merchant system. So you can say this as a merchant system. And then when you want to pay, okay, because whatever you have purchased, merchant cannot directly accept the payment. Okay, so therefore you have to pay, and therefore merchant system is connected to the payment server, or we call it as a payment gateway. And this payment gateway So this will be acquiring bank of the merchant. So merchant is acquiring your payment information, whereas the customer will go to the issuing bank and get the maybe the bank account or credit card or whatever, and that consumer will be paying to the merchant through this payment gateway. So this is also all our digital channels, and these are the this is the merchant systems, and this is the payment system. Again, here also in merchant system, you have web server, application server, database server, sandbox, etc. And in payment server or the payment gateway also, you will have the same thing: web server, application server, database server, sandbox. Okay, so everywhere you will find this three-tier architecture. Now, I'll be discussing some digital payment methods which are available in India, because from the chartered accountant's point of view, these digital payment methods are very important. And earlier at the beginning, I showed you some of the digital payment methods which are provided by the National Payments Corporation of India, NPCI. So these are the various channels, you can say digital channels, contemporary digital channels, you can say. That there are banking cards. So this could be a credit card, debit card, etc. You can have on the mobile phones. If you don't have a smartphone, then by using this USSD service, you can make payments. So that facility also has been provided by NPCI. Then you have Aadhaar enabled payment service. So for the people who want to pay via Aadhaar, this service is available. Unified payment interface, or UPI, which has become very popular. So this is the most popular system today in India. And many people, especially common public, they are using this UPI system. Mobile wallets such as Paytm and GPay and PhonePe, etc., etc. Banks prepaid cards such as oil card or air travel card or railway card, etc. Point of sale devices, POS, which are used in malls and other shops, grocery shops, etc. Internet banking. So mainly this is NEFT, National Electronic Fund Transfer, or RTGS, real-time gross settlement, or IMPS, intermobile payment service. Then mobile banking, and then especially in villages, etc., the banking correspondent, they are using this what is called as a micro ATM. So this micro ATM has got a fingerprint reader, and you keep your fingerprint, and then it authorizes you by contacting the Aadhaar enabled service, and then the payment banking correspondent pays that particular person. Some of the channels which were not in that particular diagram, I have displayed them over here also. Check truncation system. So this check truncation system, wherein the data and image of the checks is traveling rather than the physical check. So physical check is truncated. Physical check is truncated. That means stop. It doesn't go further. It doesn't travel. Because earlier physical check used to go. Now this physical check is truncated at the where the check is deposited, and it doesn't travel further. Okay, only the data and image move of that particular check, and on the basis of that, the banks are clearing the checks. ATM, nowadays we are having National Financial Switch. So any ATM card of any bank, you can go to any other ATM of any bank and you can withdraw. And we have micro ATM. And then some companies which are non-banking companies, they have set up what is called as a white label ATM. That means these are not banks, but RBI has permitted them to set up what is called as a white label ATM. And therefore, they are their ATM machines are set up, and through that also you can withdraw money. Internet banking mainly used for NEFT, RTGS, and IMPS. Mobile banking is used for IMPS for wallets such as Paytm, GPay, various banks' wallets, etc., and the mobile applications of various banks. So you can download the mobile applications of the banks, and then you can transact through that mobile banking application. NPCI has also set up what is called as the Bharat Bill Payment System, similar to BillDesk, wherein all the utility bills you can pay via this BBPS. Most of you must be using all these channels. I'm just giving them in, as a digital channels in India. This is one another component which is very important, which we call it as a payment aggregators and gateways. Okay, so these payment aggregators are the companies which for example, Make My Trip company. So they are aggregators. So if you want to book an airline ticket, rather than going to all the different airline websites, you go to Make My Trip or Yatra or Clear Trip kind of a sites, and then they will give you all the choices. So they are aggregating the data and displaying it to you. This is also launched by the NPCI, BHIM, Bharat Interface for Money or Unified Payment Interface. This is Aadhaar-enabled payment system, AEPS. And this is SWIFT. So this is Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, SWIFT. Okay, through which cross-country, that is cross-border money transfer can happen. And you must be aware of the PNB, Punjab National Bank scam, after which the Reserve Bank of India has said that you have to first enter any SWIFT transaction in the core banking system first. And then from the core banking system, the message, because SWIFT is just a messaging system. Okay. It is like I'm giving you, I promise that I will give you this much money. Okay. So it is like a message, just like an email system, except that it is a payment message. Okay. And this is generally a B2B transaction, business to business, that is bank to bank transaction, or company to bank and then bank to bank and then to customer transaction. However, there was a scam in Punjab National Bank, and after which the RBI has brought a lot of controls and a lot of measures, so that nowadays any bank who is first of all the SWIFT terminal or SWIFT system should be centralized. It has been removed from the branches. Okay, earlier it was in various branches, especially State Bank of India or Punjab National Bank, etc. So first of all, they have centralized the SWIFT server. And secondly, unless you enter the financial transaction in your core banking software, you cannot flow any message into the SWIFT server. So some such various measures RBI has brought in, but SWIFT is also a digital channel. Then FASTag, this is again through NPCI, FASTag, which is National Electronic Toll Collection. So wherein you take your vehicle, and when you want to pay the toll, instead of paying it by cash, you have a FASTag and your money is deducted from your FASTag by the toll. So there is a CCTV camera which reads the RFID tag. So there is a radio frequency identification device which I forgot to mention in my earlier slides. So that reads, and then the money is paid. That is, your toll is paid. Then you have prepaid payment instruments, that is cards, wallets, etc. So like Paytm and other phone pay, etc. Then again, NPCI has set up this National Automated Clearing House. So this is a centralized electronic clearing system. So wherein you can, have one-to-many credit or one-to-many debits. So I have given some examples here: dividends, interest, salary, pension, distribution of subsidies, etc. From one maybe government agency to many many customers or many consumers, it will be credited. Or telephone, electricity, water, gas bills, etc. From many, it will be paid to one company. Point of sale terminals or online transactions using various types of prepaid cards, credit cards, etc., etc. So again, there are in the world there are these 5 card companies: Visa, MasterCard, Diners Club, Japanese Card Bureau, and American Express. And in India, under NPCI, as you all know, RuPay, which is a credit card of India, that has been started, and some banks are giving this RuPay card also. So this is sort of a very brief technical discussion of what are the various technologies available, or what is behind the scenes of the digital channels. So basically, end devices, web server, application server, database server, telecommunication line, and various types of software. So this technology, if a chartered accountant understands, then it will be easier for him or her to visualize that how the transactions are taking place. And another thing which I forgot to tell you when I showed you this particular diagram, I'll go back to this diagram, that whenever any audit is to be conducted, whether it is a financial audit, internal audit, concurrent audit, or system audit, okay, we have to consider these systems. Let me just clear this. We have to consider the system from this end to this end. Except this will be out of scope. Service providers, we are not going to cover in our audit. So if we get audit of a bank or of a company, then we will be auditing the end devices. Maybe we will be doing some sampling of selection of branches, etc. But we will be auditing end devices, switch, router, modem. This is for system audit I am talking, or security audits, VAPT, etc., vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, etc. Or if it is a financial audit, then financial systems which are operated in this local area network. So we have to see these financial systems, how the transactions are entered, and so on and so forth. And then we have to audit the centralized system, that is web server, application server, database server, and storage area network. So the systems will be here. So if a chartered accountant understands how the data flows, okay, from the end device to the backend systems, then he or she will be in a better position to perform even the financial audits. I mean, this is at a very broad level. Many things the auditor will have to understand as to how the data is flowing and how the data is processed, and so on and so forth. But this is the basic understanding which is essential. Now I am going to cover the operations and various controls which are possible or which are to be used. Not all the controls, of course, but major areas I am going to touch upon in this operations and controls. As I said, 3 things I am going to cover: the technology of digital channels, which I covered. Now I'll be covering the operations and controls. And the third one is the security. Now, I have taken here 2 sample systems, digital channels. One is UPI and one is the check truncation system. So here, if you see, I mean, this is just a repetition of what I have said or what technology I have described. But this will give you the operational complexity of the digital channels. So this is this is your pay bank, and this is your drawee bank. Okay, so what happens is that when the check is presented, or this is also called as a presenting bank branch. So when the check is presented at the branch, then at the branch captures the data and images through the scanners. So various scanners are provided, and there is what is called as a CHI, clearing house interface has been provided to each branch, whichever is capturing the what you call as the data and images. And there are a lot of quality controls and so on and so forth. Then the captured data and images will be digitally signed by this branch, and it will be encrypted with a public key infrastructure encryption system. And these images will be sent to the service branch in a batch mode. That means the branch will be collecting many checks, then they will be scanning, they will be capturing the data, etc., etc. And then they will be sending this data to the service branch. Now, service branch will, the job of the service branch is to process the data, because service branch will be receiving data from many such branches in that particular location. So they will be processing the data, and they will be doing the settlement through, again, there is a clearinghouse interface system. And this data, they will be sending again data and images as a batch mode to NPCI. So this is Central Processing Center, or NPCI. Now, NPCI has got what you call as bank identification for all the banks, either members or banks can be a sub-member. So small banks, they are not direct members, but they are sub-members. And then NPCI will be sending it to the drawee branch. And drawee branch again may have a service branch, and it will receive the data, send the consolidated returns. Suppose if there are some checks which are not to be cleared, then those will be sent back to the payment branch or service center. And then this is the drawee branch, which receives the data. Based on the images, the branch clears the data or rejects the checks, prepares the return file, and again through NPCI, this return file comes to the service branch, and then the service branch processes it, and then settlement also is carried out between this service bank and this service branch and this service branch. Okay, so this is an RBI. Role of RBI in this whole thing is clearing, that is the funds or the account branch. Banks will have accounts open with the RBI, settlement, and then setting up the policies. So this is one check truncation system which I have explained. And the second one is UPI. Again, there is a NPCI which is an aggregator, you can see. So there is a payer payment service provider, somebody is paying to the payee. So this entire flow diagram shows that, for example, request to pay, it goes to the unified payment interface through UPI application. Then it is the authentication is done. This is the response. Okay, and then the various different modes of transactions have been displayed, which usually this is what happens at the back end. But everybody is familiar about the UPI. Many people are using this UPI payment interface. So all these digital channels, these are the features of the systems, which more or less we have discussed, but again I have listed them over here. So there is a end customer, that is you and me, or companies. So we will be using the end devices. There will be banks, so there will be issuing bank, acquiring bank, or payee bank, drawee bank, etc. And these will be having backend systems in the form of web server, application server, and database server, storage area, network, etc., which will be kept at data center, and there will be a disaster recovery site also. Then there will be applications and various platforms. So banking applications, mobile applications done by the banks, which we have to download and use. There will be a service provider. Many banks, instead of setting up their own systems, they have outsourced their, some of the activities. So therefore, there can be a service provider. So the bank, instead of doing all this processing themselves, the service provider will be doing it. And therefore, one more layer has been added. One more complexity has been added to the systems, because now, as an auditor, if you go and you are auditing the bank, you have to audit the service provider also, because actually he is doing all the processing. So there will be an aggregator, payment gateways. So there are 8-9 payment gateways which are there in India: PayPal, India, PayUmoney, etc. NPCI, which can be considered as a payment gateway or payment aggregator. So this is for all the payments systems handler in India. RBI for deciding policies and doing some other aspects. This is one very important aspect of any operation, especially in digital channels, because these are all faceless systems. Earlier, what used to happen, that we used to go to branch, and the bank clerk and the officers and the branch manager, they used to know the customers by heart. And then we deposit the check. And then if the check is bound, then we used to tell them that, okay, I'm depositing money, but please clear my check, and so on and so forth. But now these digital channels, they are faceless systems. Okay, that means nobody knows each other. Nobody is knowing each other. They have not seen your faces, etc. It's a faceless system. Therefore, dispute resolution system have to be very, very strong. And NPCI has put a lot of turnaround time restrictions on various banks and the payment providers on dispute resolution system. In fact, NPCI also has one dispute resolution system, and they give various files which are to be downloaded, and they are to be used for this dispute resolution. Because if in faceless systems, if disputes are not resolved immediately, then people will not have faith into the digital systems. So therefore, this is one major area which during my audits of banks I have found, that dispute resolution systems have to be proper. Another very important area where there is lot of improvement is required is called as settlement and reconciliation systems, especially for cooperative and smaller banks. These reconciliation and settlement systems are quite complex. And therefore, auditors have to look into these systems as to how the settlement is happening, how the reconciliation is happening, what about the aging of reconciliation, what about aging of settlement, etc. And there are a lot of backlogs in this settlement and reconciliation areas. And these two areas are very important for the financial auditors to look into, as well as the system auditors to look into. Now, when we are talking about security of all these faceless systems, there is a technical aspect of the security. That is, we should have access controls and application controls and encryption and secure file transfers. And this is called as STP, straight through processing. That is, without any manual upload, download, or manual intervention, one system should be able to process the data. And the name given is straight through processing. Okay, that is automated processing, two-factor authentication, OTP, etc., etc. And in operational security, the settlement, reconciliation, dispute resolution, these three areas are very, very important. So these are the features. So in any digital channel system, you will find these systems which are very, very important. And as an auditor, as a system auditor, and as a helping auditor to the many financial auditors, I have found that these areas, there is a lot of improvement which is needed by the banks. And through audits, we can do a lot of value addition to these areas. So in these reconciliation and settlement procedures, these many operations, or what you call as various areas of operations, I have listed here. There are many other operations also, but I have listed the major ones. So what one has to do is that you have to download logs and transaction files from NPCI portal, because NPCI holds all the interbank transactions and logs. So therefore, one has to download all the various files from this NPCI portals. In case of ATM, there is something called as electronic journal. So electronic journal files needs to be pulled from the ATM switch, and then it needs to be reconciled, or the transactions are to be used for reconciliation. Extraction of transaction and logs from the switch of the company. So for example, a bank, they will have their own ATM switch. Switch is nothing but a server. Okay, so it will be a application server, that is ATM application server will be there, or mobile banking application server will be there, or internet banking application server will be there, or UPI server will be there, CTS server will be there, NEFT server will be there. So all these servers, sometimes they are called as switch. So from these switch, the transaction files and logs are to be downloaded. Reporting and passing of chargeback. So if there are customer complaints, then you have to pay back to the customers, and that is known as chargeback. And accounting of these entries is a lot of complications are there, because banks mostly use intermediate accounting system, and then they pass and park amounts in this intermediate account codes, and then from there they are flown to the general ledger code. Responding to suspected frauds, etc. So that is one of the important function of that reconciliation system. Submission of periodical returns to NPCI, RBI, etc. to internal management. So that is required, and regulatory returns. Monitoring compliance to RBI and NPCI. Account and settlement of fees and penalties. This is also very, very important area, because we have found that because of the technical, there are two kinds of declines. One is technical decline, that is because of the connectivity issues, the transactions are declined. And second one is financial decline. So because of some financial reason, balance is not there, or account is inoperative, etc., the declines are happening. So NPCI and RBI, they charge penalties if your declines go beyond certain percentage. So therefore, the banks are paying in terms of these settlement fees and penalties, and therefore this is one area which financial auditors have to properly look into. Chargebacks and resolution of transaction disputes with the customers and so on. Receivables and payables. Coordinating with the service provider. So if the bank is not doing all this reconciliation and settlement, then service provider is, many banks I have seen, service providers are there, and they are doing the reconciliation and settlement operations. So therefore, service providers' role and policies, etc., we have to check. And reconciliation is generally done auto plus manual. So most of the entries are reconciled automatically by the software, but unreconciled entries, they are manually reconciled, and there could be a lot of issues in this manual reconciliation, and there can be a backlog also in this manual reconciliation. So the next slide, I have put the challenges in this settlement and reconciliation area. So data needs to be captured from multiple complex systems. You have to, the bank has to download, or that reconciliation department or the DB channel department, digital banking channel department, they have to download a lot of data from the switch, different switch, core banking systems, NPCI switch, electronic journal, etc. All these data may not be in the consistent formats. So everybody, for example, ATM electronic journal file will be in different format. NPCI will be giving data in different format. Service provider may be giving data in different format. So inconsistent data format. Cutoff timings. Nowadays we have 24/7/365 banking. Okay. However, banks have core banking software, and there is a end of day operations which take place. Okay. So there are different cutoff timings which are used by banks and these various channels. And therefore that poses various difficulties in reconciling and settlement of these transactions. So therefore, this is one area where the chartered accountants as an auditor can play a very important role. Many of these activities may not be logged or may not be properly controlled, and therefore, diverse activities are taking place. So the technical person doesn't understand the accounts related activities, that is settlement, reconciliation, etc. Whereas the accounts guy doesn't understand technical things and data flows and logs and so on and so forth. So therefore, help from both the people, that is technology and chartered accountant, both are required. And therefore, I have helped as a technical guy. I have helped many firms, CA firms, or helping some firms in these financial audits also. Excel data may be inconsistent. I told about declines, technical declines and financial declines, chargeback and disputes. At many places or many banks, I have seen that chart of accounts and GL codes, they need to be redesigned properly. Some banks are using very old GL codes from the distributed banking time, and they have not redesigned, or they have not what you call as re-engineered their GL chart of account. And therefore, it is necessary that the chart of account should be looked into. This is the first area which I would suggest the chartered accountant may not be as an auditor, but maybe as a helping to the bank, or maybe some internal auditor or others. They can help the banks to redesign the chart of accounts. And there can be delays in turnaround time, and which causes the write-offs and penalties, because there are certain fixed TATs have been fixed by RBI and NPCI. And if you don't do it within that, and if this goes on for some period of time, then NPCI and RBI charge the heavy penalties. So these are the IT general controls, which some of them I have listed out over here, IT general controls. So there will be technical and operational KPIs. For example, how many transactions are declined? What is the reason of this decline? Technical decline, financial decline, etc. What is the unreconciled amount daily? And most important is aging of unreconciled accounts. Because through this aging, we will be able to know exactly how many days if an account is unreconciled, how many days it is being, remaining unreconciled. So aging of unreconciled accounts, many banks or companies, they are not having. So therefore, this is one value addition which can be done. Risk assessment and fixing technical and operational risks. So this should be done product wise. So UPI product, what are the risks? What is the risk assessment? And all those things should be done. Security audits of this DB system should be conducted. That is your regular security audits and your vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, etc. Customer protection, customer awareness, and grievance redressal mechanism. This needs to be set up. So this is one general control which banks have to have. And fraud risk management. So if whenever there is a fraud happens, how it is investigated, how it is reported, and how the responsible people are brought to the either the law, or they are some kind of punishment is given to them. These are some of the IT application controls. So we have seen IT general controls. These are IT application controls of the DB channel. Validation controls for the endpoint application. So whenever you are entering the data, the end user is entering the data, there will be application control, that is input control, processing controls, output controls, etc. So that is the first point of controls where the application controls can be used. For backend systems, there will be some controls. Like, for example, backend system should be able to know which new device got connected to backend system. So nowadays, they do it. Or if you connect your UPI through banking, then some systems, they give you a warning that please use mobile network so that we can identify that you are the person who is claiming to be that particular person. So they may not allow you to Wi-Fi, or they may give you a warning. So that means the backend system is detecting that who is getting connected to their system. Anti-malware and your other capabilities in the mobile application. RBI has recently said that containerized applications should be used even for the mobile applications or the regular applications also. And if you see here, there is something called as the mobile device management, which I have given. So nowadays, most of the companies or banks, they are using what is called as the mobile device management. So this mobile device management, you can enroll all the mobile phones which your company or your employees are using, especially for bring your own device. You can secure it, so you can configure. For example, if I have audited some insurance companies in which suppose you meet with an accident in an insurance company vehicle, then you have to take photograph and upload it to your insurance company site. So at that time, you have to take the photographs or record video through the mobile insurance company's application only. And then when you are doing this recording, certain quality of whatever you are recording or whatever photographs you are taking can be controlled. So therefore, such kind of configurations are possible through the mobile device management. So secure configuration, services which are to be made available, and then you can collect the data uniformly by using this mobile device management, which is considered as a containerized application. These are some of the risks which I have found, and I have taken only an example of a mobile banking application. Hardly 15 minutes are there. So registration done without accepting terms and conditions. So this is one risk which is there. So this can be automated. That is the control that the registration can be automated. So without accepting terms and conditions, one cannot register. So you have to accept the terms and conditions. In fact, some applications nowadays, you just, when you see the terms of conditions, you have to go down up to the last row of the terms and conditions, and then the accept button is enabled. Okay, so such kind of features are provided. Transactions initiated without proper authentication, OTP generation validation can be done. Transaction process above limits, so you can have your core banking, you check what are the limits and then only process the transaction. So basically, transaction, whether it has been available funds are there or not, you can check with CBS. Incorrect calculation, for that you can again check with CBS. Warning not given to customer for non-reversal of transaction, you can have a pop-up warning, etc., etc. So these are some of the risks which are there and against which you can have a control. Most of these risks are now mitigated by the corresponding automated controls and messages and so on. So now I am on to the last leg of my presentation, which is security. Of course, Dr. Omkarnath sir has already discussed various aspects of security, but I will be touching here upon the some specific aspects. For example, RBI has given these 14 areas as a baseline or framework for ensuring security for the banks. So if any company or bank looks into these 14 areas, like inventory management of business IT assets, so you should have inventory managing for your business IT assets, preventing access of unauthorized software, environmental and physical controls, network management and security, secure configuration of all the end devices, servers, routers, switches, etc. Antivirus should be updated, installed, and regularly devices should be scanned. Patch management should be properly done. And there are two types of patches, functionality patching and security patching. Both should be done properly. User access control and manager. This is also known as user provisioning. Secure mail and messaging system. Removable media. User employee management awareness. So even board of directors have to be made aware, and quarterly RBI has said that board of directors should be given a specific security training. Okay, and RBI has is asking as a key risk indicator that how many of your board of directors members they have not undergone security training. So every quarter you have to submit a KRI value to RBI. So that is important. Customer education and awareness. So you must have seen a lot of messages we receive every day that don't share your password, don't share your OTP, and so on and so forth. Backup and restoration of the data, and vendor and outsourcing risk management. So what RBI is saying is that if you are, if any company or bank is making progress in these 14 areas, okay, then we can consider them to be at least having some baseline security. Of course, each of these areas further needs to be audited. Doesn't mean that once you have done it, this is an ongoing process. So this is not a one time. You have to keep on doing this, because as the technology changes, as the people change, as the processes change, you may become weaker in some of the areas. So continuously you have to watch these 14 areas. That is what RBI is saying. Nowadays, most of the banks, they have gone for what is called as security operations center or cyber security operations center. Most of the banks are now, they have outsourced these security operations centers. And these security operations centers, they work 24/7 by 365. Okay, I have audited a couple of these security operations centers and SIEMs. Of course, I will not be discussing this in detail, but what capability of this SOC and SIEM they are having, that I have just listed out very briefly. So SIEM is Security Information and Event Management System. Entire network of the bank is supposed to be connected on SIEM. So during our security audits, we check that how many systems are integrated with SIEM. Even RBI is asking this question as a KRI question, that how many of your end devices, how many of your web servers, application server, database servers, etc., they are integrated with SIEM. Or at least to start with critical, should be integrated with SIEM. Okay, and these are some SIEM products: Exabeam, Logarithm, Splunk, IBM QRadar, etc. Now, what these SIEM are capable of doing it? SIEM can collect all types of log collection, right from operating system log, firewall logs, database log, application logs, all logs from all the system, even end devices, servers, etc., routers, logs. They can do log analysis. They can do online live correlation of the logs, and they can tell you where are the problems. Log forensics, IT compliance, and various types of compliance they help in. SIEM helps in. Application log monitoring, object access auditing, real-time alerting is possible. User activity monitoring. So all the users profiling can be done by SIEM. It can provide dashboard reporting, etc., etc. So in short, these SIEMs are proving to be a lot of very important area in the security, and especially banking security. And here I have got one interesting what you call as reference to the site. So I'll just click on this. So you can say that this is a real-time world's SIEM. So this is a live cyber threat map which is being displayed. And here, if you see that which are the countries which are the target. So that in the morning when I look at this, Nepal was here. but now Nepal is the top. So it gives you the various different types of what are the malware, phishing and exploit. And it gives you various attacks also. So this is all displayed in real time. So you can say that similar such facility is available in SIEM also. Of course, you can drill down here. Drilling down is not provided, but in SIEM, you can go and you can drill down. So, and this is live. So if you see here, this is changing the countries also. So tomorrow, if I see the country, maybe now India is not shown here, but India may come up tomorrow or in the night. So this is a live cyber threat map, which is displayed. And this gives you an idea as to, just idea as to what are different cyber threats happening world over and, various other things. So this completes my digital channel, brief overview. I hope that you must have enjoyed this. I have tried to, give as much information as possible in that whatever was the limited time. So if there are any questions, you can ask. Sampurna ji, I hand over it to you now.
Thank you, sir. As of now, there are no questions in the portal, sir.
Okay.
It was quite enlightening, sir, to listen all of that. Too much knowledge in such a short amount of time. Too much to process. So with this, with this we will end this session, sir. So here,
Sampurna, just a minute. How many participants have joined the session?
Sir, I'll have to ask the tech support team because I cannot.
You can't see.
Yeah, sir, I cannot see it.
Okay.
This recording, you will be making them available, or how? What is the process?
गोखले सर, ये recording हमें भी चाहिए, हम available करवाएंगे. Don't worry.
Okay.
I will follow it. It is my responsibility that I will make it available to you.
Okay.
Something more in my mind, off the line I will talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'll start with the vote of thanks. Here we come to the end of the enriching session on the information system security and contemporary digital technology. I see a Sampurna Sharma, moderator for today's session. I'm immensely thankful to C.A. Charanjot Singh Nandaji, Chairman of DAB, C.A. Dayanivas Sirji, Vice Chairman of DAB, Mr. Ankit Kumar Agarwal ji, Chairman, Jarsugda branch of EARC of ICI, and our eminent speakers, Dr. Omkar Nath ji and Mr. Avinash Gokhale sir, for their efforts and time to come on the BCM and for providing the knowledge light to everyone on the topic, their ideas and elegance of explanation. I need to mention my deepest sense of appreciation. I also extend my thanks to all the members who have joined for their enormous cooperation for this event. And lastly, I'd like to thank the staff who have made this session possible. And we will also keep organizing such more of these sessions like this every Friday. So you're requested to please stay in touch and be updated for the same. And with this, we will like to conclude this session for today. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.